Hello, everyone out there in the thrifty artland. Welcome on in. I am going to give people a few minutes to join on in, and then we are going to get started. I have a lot that I want to share with you guys today. We're just going to be having some painting fun. For those who are going to be a part of the replay crew, I welcome you as you watch the video as well. And you guys know I don't edit live, so anything that happened before I start talking, you'll get a chance to see, including how messed up my hair was before I got the camera turned around. Oh man. But yeah, so this is what, the second or the third Facebook Live? I mean, YouTube Live. See, I'm thinking I'm on Facebook. So we're just gonna wait a few more minutes and then I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If you are joining in, welcome. I am finishing getting set up here, and we're gonna get started in a minute. I'm gonna share quite a few things that you guys doing this live today. Uh, I'm excited that I am. Okay, it is already 1 minute after. Like I said, I just want to give people a few minutes to join the live. Okay, we are going to go ahead and jump in. Hello, everyone out there in the wonderful artsy community in Artland. Welcome, my name is Ken. I am the Thrifty Apprentice. If this is your first time joining me, I am so glad you decided to. The channel is full of pre-recorded videos, so please feel free to help yourself whenever you may want to. As I said earlier, if you're catching this video as a part of the replay crew, don't forget to drop a little note in the comment section and let me know you watched it on replay and how you enjoyed things. So we are going to go ahead and get started with today's video. So for the first part of this video, what I wanted to do was share with you guys some of the wonderful and absolutely amazing things that have been gifted to the studio um, over the last couple of weeks. I actually had a recommendation come from a viewer about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, that I should start an artist wish list and include it in the video description for my YouTube videos. So I did, per that request. And as a result, the studio has been blessed and gifted with some really wonderful things. And I want to share them with you and thank some people very deeply and greatly from the bottom of my heart. So all of these are brand new products. So I guess sort of a Happy Mail haul. And these are things that will be opened and tested and reviewed in the future on the channel. And I just want to give some thanks. So I'm going to start off with sending a shout out to my girl, Tisa. Tisa so wonderfully sent this 100% cotton artist grade watercolor paper pad. Is cold pressed, fine grain, acid free. It is 300 grams, 140 pounds, as I said. There's 20 sheets to it. Now, I have been wanting or interested in this. I've heard of Fumui for quite some time, and I wanted to try some of their products. I added this to the artist wish list, excuse me. So she did send it to the studio. Thank you so very much, Tisa. This is a wonderful gift. I know you guys can see my lights reflecting in the plastic, so I'm trying to angle it so you don't have to worry about that. But as I was saying, this is a wonderful gift that I was interested in trying, so thank you so very much for this. Now, this next little product that was sent. I'm not sure who sent it. There was no name attached. There was no like gifting card or any type of information letting me know where or who it came from. So if you are the person who is responsible for sending me this book, thank you so very much. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I have been so interested in reading this book since I ran across it on Amazon a few weeks back. So I added it to the artist wish list, and lo and behold, it showed up at my door. And I am a huge, huge fan of pen or ink with watercolors. I've also discovered that I'm a huge fan of graphite with watercolor. And I'm actually going to go into talking about ink and watercolor and graphite and watercolor in much more detail in an upcoming video on the channel. So you guys be sure to go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell. So if you're interested in, talking about ink and wash or graphite and wash, then you won't miss that content. But I'm excited to read this book and eventually share my thoughts and opinions on it with you guys. And maybe we'll even end up doing some projects out of it, like we're going to do out of the book that we're working with today. Now, the next three products, well, actually two products. One of the products I can't show because this upcoming Sunday's video is going to be an unboxing and you demoing and review of that particular product. And I'm really excited about that product. I think it's absolutely amazing. So you guys be sure to catch this Sunday's release. It's gonna drop around 10 a.m. Central Standard Time Sunday morning, as most of my videos do. Now, two of the other products that was sent from this wonderful viewer, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know this is my wonderful, wonderful, lovely art nerd who was actually the person to suggest I start the artist wish list. Um, and since I've done it, has been very, very gracious to the studio. Let me just say. So this little baby came from Etsy. It is Masa watercolors on Etsy, and this is a set of handmade metallic watercolor paints. And it came wrapped in this cute little confetti paper with a little heart on the front of a piece of masking tape that's holding it together. And I decided I was going to open it on camera with you guys. Unfortunately, I know this tape is going to tear the paper. I mean, I guess it's part for the chorus. Just have to deal with that. And I was gonna try to save this paper, but I'm so not now. I just want to get in here and see what this is. So here is the beautiful little tin. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? There's a sticker inside, a little stamp. It says Mazel, so it's like a little bird delivering mail. That's really, really cute. I love the little sticker. It looks like maybe there's sushi and a kitty, a fried egg, maybe broccoli on top of noodles. So maybe that's a ramen bowl with a little kitty in it. Okay, cute. And then there is this little enclosed package. Let's see what this is. This is, it looks to be samples. So maybe these are samples of colors that you can buy maybe individually that are not included in the little kit. So you have Atlanta, Sakura, and what looks like Regal. Yeah, that purple would remind me of royalty and Regal too, Regalness too. So I'm assuming those are just additions. Let's pop this open and see what we have here. Oh, how cute. So on the inside, there's a little swatch card with the little seashells. Can you guys see that? And it says Luna, Solar, Electra, Shadow, Mars. So they have like celestial names. And there's a piece of little paper covering here. Oh, how gorgeous is this? And like the metallic colors are handmade. And for the pans, they're using these little seashells with magnets on the bottom to hold it into the tin. Oh, now that is just so whimsical and cute. Now, see, my art nerd knows that I love whimsical things. This is so stinking pretty. Look at this. Look at those colors. They're gorgeous. They're gorgeous, yes. Okay, and they're in order by the swatch sheet, I would assume. So there would be Luna and Solar, which would make sense. Electro being blue. The Shadow looking more like a Payne's gray metallic color. And then Mars being more of a dark deep wine burgundy. So the names definitely make sense to the colors. I cannot wait to swatch these out. And then of course there's the additional three colors that came. So that's pretty cool. I really like this. Art Nerd, this was a beautiful gift. And I've never, you have gifted me with my very first set of handmade watercolors. So thank you so very much for that. I am really going, let me package this back the way it was until I get ready to swatch them. And I guess I'll be swatching them and maybe comparing them to some of the other metallic pearlescent watercolors that I have here inside the studio. But as I said, this is my very first handmade set of any type of watercolor. So I'm really excited to try these out, including those additional colors, because the truth of the matter is, if they're really nice, I'll order them. You know, I'll definitely support the artist that is hand making their own products. As you guys know, I hand make my own sketchbooks. Well, I hand make my own sketchbooks for now. I am really trying to move into mass producing them, and I'm just going to be honest about that. But this is wonderful, Art Nerd. Thank you so much. Beautiful little gift and beautiful little packaging. And it's a very first for me in my art journey having a handmade set. So I'm really excited about that, and I think you completely rock. I also have to go ahead and show off this set of gel pens, which were also sent by Art Nerd. This was the very first product sent. And all of these that I'm showing you will eventually have like swatching and demos. Now, I've actually used this set already in a couple of videos. You may have seen me using it. Um, let's see, I used it on quite a few paint them on quite a few paintings already. I was trying to see if I could grab one of them, but I don't have any within arm's reach, so I'm not going to really worry about that. But the set is a set of gel pens. It is full of beautiful, amazing colors. Um, I was so blown away. And look, check this. I love the fact that it comes with with at least one refill for every single pen that's in the pack. So if you are a mixed media artist or if you're into gel pen artistry, then I think this is an absolutely beautiful little set. And we are definitely going to be breaking into it in more detail. Although, as I said earlier, you guys have seen me use them already in video. And here you can see I was swatching out the colors that I've used in other videos, but I haven't completed the entire swatch sheet. Haven't quite gotten around to that yet. And then it comes with these really cute little images that are, you know, front and back. That looks to be like a really thick cardstock for you to illustrate, test the pens out. So maybe when I do the little demonstration with the pens, we'll actually color one of these. Because as you guys know, although I love my own original art, I don't mind doing somebody else's style or art from somebody else's corner of the world. I think that's how we grow as artists, continuing to explore and going outside of our own comfort zone. So, Art Nerd, thank you for both the gel pens. Thank you for the beautiful little set of handmade metallic watercolors. And the other item that you sent to the studio, that video is dropping Sunday, this Sunday coming up. So I don't want you to think that I have forgotten about anything, because I didn't. I was really just kind of waiting for this live so that I can, you know, share it with all of the viewers and just kind of let you guys know. So here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into what we're doing in today's video. Um, I wanted to just kind of play around with some watercolors inside this Art for Joy's Sake journal that I have. Now, this is a paint crush product, which I happen to like a lot of paint crush products. I'm currently finally working on the review for the Art for Joy's Sake watercolor palette, the 12 half pans. That review will actually come out Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday. So I don't want you guys to miss that. I've already reviewed the brushes. I've already reviewed the swatching stamp set. So I've kind of gone through everything that was in the PR box, other than the palette itself and the painter's pot, which I will talk a little bit about the painter's pot inside the review video for the palette. So this review video will be coming up Wednesday. So you guys may want to check that out. Don't miss it. In today's video, I'm going to be working. Now, see, here's the thing. Let me back up for a second. There are a lot of times when I want to just play and explore. And sometimes one of the best way to play and explore is in like a journal or inside maybe a coloring book where you get this pre-designed line work and you're able to just jump right in and start exploring your painting, exploring your watercolor or acrylic or oil or whichever medium you're used to or that you use to create with. So I actually did a live on my Patreon maybe last week. I'm just going to show you guys where I did already do some of the work out of this book. It was this particular orange page. Now, the page is available. This one is available through her channel, which is the only reason you see that I have a printout of it here. Because this download is available on her channel. So I just downloaded it, well, on her channel through Facebook. So I downloaded it onto 140-pound cold pressed acid-free watercolor paper. And this is what I use to paint on inside that Patreon live. Now I use Mission Gold. If I'm not mistaken, in the book for this one, she used Bear Reese watercolor inks. I think you can find those type of watercolors at Michael's if I'm not mistaken. But I just kind of want to show you some of the artwork, some of the type of things that are in this book. Now, it is not necessarily a how-to book. It is more so a journal that's full of projects and joyful tips and inspiration to just kind of get you going. I wanted to paint in this book with you guys because I think things of this nature are a great way to kind of like skip the drawing process and get right into painting. So I'm just going to walk you through this one project and then we're going to jump right into doing it. I'm not sure how long I'll be on today, but I definitely want to get this project started with you guys and just kind of show you how you can take maybe a coloring book or a pre-lined journal or maybe print off a coloring page on the internet onto 140-pound watercolor paper or whatever pound watercolor paper you use and you feel more comfortable with. And it's a great jumping off point to get your day started, especially if you want like a little practice in before you really get into a huge day of painting. So here, dahlias are what we're going to be working with. Uh, Now, what this book does for a particular project, excuse me, is it lets you know what she used. In this case, to paint this particular one that we're going to work on today, she used Zig Clean Color Real Watercolor Brush Pens. Now, I am going to be using my original Paul Rubens 24 half pan artist grade set. Of course, you can use whatever you want. I did kind of test the paper from the previous project. It's pretty thick, but it's more like a hot press paper, which is a little outside of my comfort zone. I'm more of a cold press paper person, or a mixed media paper if I'm going to be working with something that has a little bit less tooth in it than say a watercolor paper would. But I'm going to give this a shot on this hot press paper and we'll see how it works out. Now, she tells you how she used it. Layer upon layers of yellows, oranges, and pinks added to light to dark. Tip and broad side of brush used. Keep a water brush at hand to blend and add more moisture to the page. Now, that would kind of be necessary with water brush pens. If you are familiar with or if you've ever used a real brush pen or water soluble brush pen, whether it was a real brush or ink dye or whatever it was, you know that they do tend to stain right away sometimes. So keeping a water brush handy to kind of go ahead and blend and spread your color in that aspect would be recommended. But due to the fact that I'm using a watercolor, that won't necessarily be, something that I have to do. Now, it also gives you a joyful tip when it comes to what you're working on. In this case, it says water-based markers don't give that expressive watercolor look. So don't get discouraged as you first begin. Soon you'll see that the layering of the colors between broad, bold marks and small, fine details is where the fun is at. So basically, each one of the projects gives you this encouraging, joyful tip that kind of, moves you along and let you know, hey, don't get discouraged. Keep working at it. It's going to work out. That's basically what it boils down to. And then it also gives you the story behind the art. In this case, enjoy the full-size version of this art print on the opposite page. But for now, learn about the soul-changing life behind these words. And that's referring to, with each project, you get a full-size print or example, if you want to kind of follow along with that, of each project. And as far as the project itself is concerned, it's printed on both the front and the back side of each page. And then adjacent to that is sort of like a journal workbook page. So for what it's worth, I think the book is pretty cool. Now I will have a more in-depth review video coming up later on the channel for this book. But for now, we're just going to be doing playing around in it. So here it says, years ago, the hub, meaning her husband, and I toured Fonthill Henry Chapman Mercer's eccentric tile-laden home that was literally built from the inside out. Tiles featured the words plus ultra were set in a massive fireplace that caught our eye as we toured. As I repeated the words more beyond in whispers to myself, the literal translation was like a loud changing in my soul. There is always more beyond where we are now. Oh, I love that. The more beyond that you commit to discover is where your art making mojo lies. Go find it. Oh, I love that. I love that. I've never heard that before, but I really like that. There is always more beyond where we are now. Always room to grow. Always. No artist should ever say they've reached their pinnacle. You should always be learning and growing. There's always something to pick up on or improve on. I wholeheartedly believe that. The more beyond that you commit to discover is where your art making mojo lies. So, basically commit to growing, commit to being open to maybe picking up on techniques that you're not used to or that you normally wouldn't use in your artwork. Watching a artist that uses a different medium than you do, because you will be surprised at the different type of things that you can learn from someone who paints completely opposite of you. So kudos for all of that great stuff. So that's just like a little preliminary look into some things that the book encourages or talks about. I'm gonna put this little clip there. Maybe I need to do it on both sides. Let me grab another one really quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. Now, at this point, I'm gonna check the comments and see if there was any questions or anything that popped in or popped on. Before we get started, please don't hesitate to post your questions in the comments section throughout this live. This is sort of like a paint along Q&A sort of thing. I really hate that you can't. I really, really, really hate that you cannot adjust. Um, I would need to move my camera up higher, but hopefully you guys can see that. Um, so let me jump on over here in the comments. Hey Becky, welcome in. Hey Miss Monroe, how you doing, friend? It's so good to see you. Thank you, ladies, for joining me. I love Christy waiting on new brushes to arrive. I like a lot of Paint Crush products, and when I talk about Paint Crush products, I really do kind of separate Christy from the actual product, and let me explain why. Christy is a wonderful person. She has an explosive personality, and I think she's really genuine. She and I have kind of cultivated somewhat of an artist-based relationship, and I love what seems to be the real genuine depth to the things that she says to me. But when it comes to the products produced by Paint Crush, the company she owns and operates, I always try to keep in mind that Christy is the person, the personality, the designer, the influencer behind a product that is being made in a factory, and Christy only has so much control over that. And I think that a lot of her products have gotten, how do I say this? A little flack simply because people want to associate so bad who she is as a person with the actual product that's being produced by a factory. Christy is not hand making these things. Now, I said all this to say this. I absolutely love a lot of products that she produced. I mean, we're painting in an art journal of hers that I ordered simply behind other products that I've used. So I wholeheartedly believe, I mean, her brushes are amazing. The stamp set that I think it's going to be released April the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. But her stamp set, love it. Love it for both the art side and the crafting side. Um, what else have I used? The painter's pot. The painter's pot is really cool. Now, not this Sunday, this upcoming Wednesday, so Wednesday of next week, I'm actually going to drop the review for her paint palette in the painter's pot all in one. So, I just always like to just let people know that when I talk about a product, regardless of how much I love a person, I try to separate them. Now, I love Kristen to death, and I think she is like the bomb.com as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about anybody else. And I have enjoyed every product of hers that I've tested and reviewed. And you guys will get to see what I think about the palette and the painter's pot next Wednesday. So be sure to subscribe and join me if you haven't already. As far as this book is concerned, I'm going to, like I said earlier, going to be doing a review on this book, just kind of the things I've discovered, the workability of it, how it works as far as the paper is concerned, the things throughout the journal, what it's encouraging, and all those good things. So yeah, I'm a Christy fan. I am. I really, really am a Christy person fan. And so far, I've been a paint crush, because I don't call it Christy Rice's products, a paint crush fan as well. So for today, I am going to be using my 24 half pan of professional Paul Rubens paints. As you can see, I have not cleaned this palette, and I'm not ashamed of it. I am not ashamed that I did not clean my palette. And I am going to be using some of Christy brushes today because, as I said earlier, they are absolutely fantastical, fantastic. All I can think of is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious whenever I pick one of them up. I mean, they give me joy, and I enjoy painting with them. Golden Techline, but for them to be Golden Techline, they still hold quite a bit of water, and I was really surprised at that. The lacquer on the brush handles is really comfortable to hold. They all have these really whimsical and encouraging mantras on the front of it. Um, and I love the fact that it comes with so many different daggers. Now, I have both sets. She has one set that kind of targets beginners more. I think it's called the Art for Joy's Sake brush set. And then she has another set that has bigger brushes in it, bigger heads. And because of that, they're going to hold more water. And for that reason, I think that one targets the professional community a little bit more. And it's called No Rules, No Fears. Oh, I know I'm saying that wrong. Whatever the case, both brush sets are absolutely amazing. There is a review on the channel if you guys want to go check that out, where I went into really in-depth details about the brushes, and I think that both sets work really, really, really well together. So yeah, hands down, enjoyed that. So I'm going to be using a 1/4 dagger. I'm probably going to be using the number one cat's tongue. I'm going to need a pretty big brush here to cover some surface area. And I'm not sure how much of this we're going to actually get through in this live, because I do have some Other things I need to do as far as some pre-recorded stuff for the channel. And I also have a live that is going to be dropping tonight inside the creation station tier of my Patreon community, um, where we're going to be having my very first digital sip and see. So basically, the ideal for my digital sipping seas is that we all show up with our coffee, and I get a chance to show you guys some inspiration as we flip through sketchbooks or journals that I've completed and kind of talk about the artwork, what I use, the experience that I had with those particular paints, hoping that it'll offer some inspiration to anybody watching over on the Patreon community. So things of that nature. I'm gonna grab this number 12 round, which are really handy brush, really versatile, comes to a really nice point. You can even get into some little small corners with that. The only thing about it is a number 12 round, and as I said earlier, despite the fact that they're golden Teflon, they do tend to hold quite a bit of water, so you have to be a little careful with that. And then maybe I'll keep out this half dagger as well. I've got a paint pot here divided. Um, Three different things there. One to clean my brushes, to grab some fresh water. And let's just jump in. So here on the page, for the example, she used the color yellow. And I'm actually gonna mimic that. And the reason is I have a hard time seeing different values in the color yellow. And it's one of the few colors that does that to me. So I do try to practice with that color as much as I can, um, because as we know, the only way to grow is to actually practice. Now I should have cleaned just a section of that palette anyway, huh? So I'm gonna grab a piece of tissue here. I promise, guys, we're finna start painting in just a second. And I am just going to clean off a little area so that I can put down some yellow paint without contaminating it. Two little areas there so I can also make a yellow shadow color. Now, if the camera is shaking or if it shakes throughout the video, guys, I'm so sorry, but my camera setup in a rig is really compact and small. It's on my desk. I have yet to figure out how to get it off the desk and lift it into the air and still get you guys a really good view. So I'm still working on working that kink out. So just bear with me, please, on that. So here we go. I don't know if you guys can really see the example page. Let me move over just a little more here and try to get that more on screen so you guys can see the example I'm painting from. All right, I'm really trying to test the paper in this book, and honestly, because I want to know if I can recommend this book um, to people who may like coloring books, who may like art journals, who may not be that keen on drawing yet. As I said, a wonderful way to go ahead and get started. And I just got my little color swatch sheet. I'm going to sit up over here so I can be sure of what color I'm reaching for. And I'm going to start with this yellow that leans more towards lemon, so more of a lemon yellow here. And I really, really do love the original Paul Rubin paint. If you've never tried them, do check out the video that I have as a review on the channel, and just know that they are a really good product. Now, I'm going to start off by trying to make, wait a minute. Okay, it's actually turned backwards here. Okay, that's first because the first one I did was not like that. But it's almost as though it's turned upside down on this page. Well, I don't want to turn it upside down to paint it. We're just going to go with it like that. It is what it is. So I'm going to start with the flower on this end. It seems that all of this is flower, so I'm just going to start wetting out in this area. As I said, this reminds me so much of I think this is a hot press paper. I'm not sure how long it's going to stay wet. So I'm going to move pretty quickly. And I'm going to grab a little of this yellow, water it down so we can get a really nice Yeah, this is definitely a hot press paper. Definitely. So right off the bat, if you're a hot press paper person, if you like hot press paper, that is definitely, this paper actually almost leans towards cardstock, if the truth be told. And I can tell that right away just from painting on it. Keep in mind the first illustration I did out of this book I actually downloaded from Christie and painted on, drop a little stronger color there in just for some different variations in the colors there. Of course, we're going to be going back in later on and glazing some shadow colors in there, probably mixing a darker color from, say, orange maybe, or mixing an orange using the yellow and the primary red, just to make sure we maintain color harmony. That's not to say that you have to mix though. I know there's a lot of artists who do not like and do not engage in color mixing, which I mean is your prerogative and you're able to do that. I don't believe that there are rules. I know several artists who paint beautiful pictures and compositions, and they actually do not do color mixing. So it can definitely be done. But I'm a color mixing guy. I'm a nerd. If you guys been following me, you know I like the research. I like to know about the paints, how they work, how they operate, all of the information on them, all of that good stuff. Although I realize that there are people who don't, and it's not something that you have to have. It's not mandatory, as one of the videos I made said, in order to paint. So yeah, I'm definitely just dropping stronger color directly into that mixture. I'm not really being too concerned. I'm just putting down where I know shadow is going to end up. Okay. And this is just the first layer. We're just getting on the first wash here. And let's see. Go here. This one. And all of this would be the flower. So we'll wet all the way up here. And I am constantly wetting the paper because it definitely dries pretty fast. It soaks up water pretty fast, no doubt about that. And I am just going to go ahead and try to get as much of this wet before this part starts to dry. All right, and watering down some more yellow here for that really watery wash. That's too bright. Okay. Spread that out. And right now what I'm doing is I'm just adding a base color to the petals of the flower, which is what we're mainly going to be concentrating on in this video. I didn't have much time for my live today, but I definitely wanted to jump on and do some artwork with you guys, especially since Friday pre-recorded videos have been removed from the channel. And if you're wondering why, it was just so that I would have more time to do more lives and concentrate a lot more on all of the details I try to offer, excuse me, in the content on the pre-recorded videos. Okay. Excuse me, my throat is scratching up all of a sudden. And I am just dropping stronger colors in certain areas, which is actually going to turn out to be the secondary color on the flower. Now, this is a wonderful way to achieve depth and saturation if you're just using one color. One of the great ways is to paint your first layer in really watery washes and then go back and drop a stronger concentration of that color in the areas you would want shadowed. Glazing is another great way to do that. putting down a layer and allowing it to dry, and then going back in with mass tone of the same color into your shadow areas. And that is gonna help to give you some depth in what you're painting. But as we know, yellow is really hard to shadow. And that's the main reason I picked this one, because I knew I needed a little work. Alright, we're gonna keep on moving on around this flower, and I am purposely trying to avoid the center right at this moment. Just trying to work it in sections to keep the paper as wet as possible while I'm working. And of course, if you are painting, if you happen to have this book and you decided to grab it as we're doing this, then by all means, paint at your own pace. I'm painting quickly here because I don't want to keep you guys all day on the line. That's what that's about. And I'm just going to go in and spread that color out over those leaves. Just giving it a little wash, a little color. Because I'm definitely going to be building on top of that. I will admit it's a little hard for wetting the wet washes on this paper because it is super absorbent and it is sucking the water up really quick. Go ahead and drop that into some areas where there will be, where we know we're going to have some shadow. That way we'll have a secondary tone down already in order to work with. I think this is going to turn out to be cute in all honesty. But I like my work, and I encourage you to like your work. We're all different artists, and we do things differently. It's one of my mottos. You guys know that. I'm not one who bends down and breaks down to any type of rules. All right, let's see here. Is that a leaf? I don't think that's a leaf. No, that's a petal. So I am kind of using here as a reference, but I'm not going to be doing exactly what she did, except for the big flower, because this was what I wanted to practice on. It's not bad though. The paper's not bad. It's okay. I would prefer a cold press paper, but I can imagine, and actually I'm not going to say I can imagine. I know for a fact that it is whenever you are private labeling your own products, especially when you're like a one-man show like Christy is, um, you have to do the best you can and work with the best that you can from what you can find. And personally, I think she has found some really amazing factories to work with to produce the products of hers that I've tried. Because I'm gonna be very honest, there are some bigger companies, and I do mean bigger companies with a larger production budget, with maybe a larger advertising budget and marketing budget behind them, and I like their products a lot less. I can't tell you how many bomb products I've tried, especially as a thrifty apprentice, because you guys know one of my main skills, one of my main things is to bring you affordable, economical products that'll give you the same feel as the pro products without breaking your pocket or breaking the bank. Okay, I think I'm gonna let that work for my first layer. I'm gonna give that time to dry completely all the way around, and then I'm gonna go back into it and start to add more color and more depth. But while we're waiting on it to dry, let's see, what can we work on? Let's work on, excuse me, what is this? Which one is this? Okay, this sit here. And one is red, but they both still have yellow on undertones, so, and even the middle is yellow. So let's just drop some yellow in. this entire flower here, and then both of the buds are yellow, and then the base of the flower next to it is yellow, and there's yellow in the leaves. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cover all of that, and then we will rework it with the glazing. Now, odds are I'm not gonna finish this entire page doing this live, guys. We just don't have that time. But maybe we'll get it started today. I'll finish the rest of it in another live, or maybe in a pre-recorded video on the channel, so that you can rewind and fast forward as you see fit. Jump in the comment section, let me know what you think. What we don't finish today, should we finish in another live, or should I drop a video for it? All right, I'm gonna get that little section over there painted, then I'm gonna check comments, see if there's any questions. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Be sure to, most people say write the word question in caps, but for me, you don't really have to do that. You can throw a question mark before the question and after the question. It'll definitely make it stand out for me. I try to make sure I answer. And I'm really just hitting and missing on these. Just putting a base color on them. I'm not trying to be too meticulous, because we're going to be taking it away from the yellow. I just wanted it to have some of that yellow on the base, so that we can start to harmonize the colors that are going to be across the page. So just a little light wash. Just a little light wash. All right. Let me check the comments real quick, and then we'll jump back into doing some painting. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. Oh, aloha. Oh, wow. Hawaii. Hello, Evelyn. How are you? Uranus. Am I saying that right? I hope I said that right. Uranus. It's probably what that is saying. Y'all know I can't see. I'm blind, and I don't paint this close up with my glasses on. I can't see the screen without my glasses. Don't age if you don't want that problem. I'm approaching 44, and it seems like every single day my eyesight goes more and more. Oh, it is terrible. You know what? It's terrible. It is. I'm gonna go ahead, and while I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna mix. Well, actually, yeah. I'm gonna grab sap green, or what looks to be sap green, because on this swatch sheet, it doesn't have any like traditional names. Everything is in Chinese. If you have the original Paul Rubens set, you know exactly. If you have any Paul Rubens set, you know exactly what I mean. But the pigments that make up, okay, that's more of the yellow green. That's not what I wanted. I wanted, what's this? I want that one. Well, let's just mix them both together. So it's more like a sap green, and maybe a yellow green, maybe what you would consider, what have I seen it called? I've seen it called tree green, sap green. The second one leans more towards an olive, so you could definitely use olive if that's what you wanted to. And I already have some darker mixtures of green here on the palette that I'm just going to reconstitute. I can't remember the last time I used this palette or what I used it for, but it must have either been a landscape or a flower for me to have all this green out on the palette. I even have some over here in this well. And they all seem to be different shades, so I'm going to use them. All right, so let's go ahead and get back into this. Yeah, that page stays wet quite a while. We're going to skip around and see if we can paint some other things. Oh, well, there's green on that leaf now. Let's go ahead and with that one. And we'll wet this one as well. Actually, I should have held off on that. Let's go ahead and drop some green in here. Around the top there. Now, I'm actually going to do a technique that I normally do with my flowers and my landscapes in just a second. I'm going to grab a little bit of this darker green that was already on my palette. Just drop that towards the base and let those blend up and mix together. For as much flowing as they're doing, which is not a lot. So I'm going to hip it out a little bit. Not really worried if I go outside my lines. I'm not really worried if drop a little color in up there. Can you guys see that? My stomach is growling. I think I'm hungry. Okay, I'm going to grab, and as I said, you've seen me use this technique many times. Cut up credit card, cut up gift card. You can use the end of one of your pointed aquarelle brushes to do this technique. But I am going to actually scribe the veining into the paper following the lines that are already down. And what's going to happen is that the paint is going to fall and settle into the scribing that I'm doing, because technically what's happening is that it's damaging the paper just a little bit. And as you can see, without me doing too much work at all, it made the veins on that leaf much, much darker. Much, much darker there. I think that's gorgeous, gorgeous. Love that. It's going to be really nice when we do some glazing on it. When I do some glazing on it later, let's go up here and grab this one and do the same thing. Actually, all of the leaves are probably going to get the intense veining. Have you guys ever used that technique? If you've never used that technique, it is definitely my suggestion to give it a try. It has become a staple in my painting. I don't leave home without a credit card scraper. I sure do not. I take it more places than I take my credit card. Alright, I'm going to be grabbing some of that same green. Let's grab a little bit more, make a more watery wash. And start dropping it in. It's beautiful. Grab some of the and like I said, I'm not really worried about going outside of lines. I'm not really worried about staying in lines or filling up everything. I'm going to drop some of that darker green right along the base there, where it goes into meeting the flower, where it curves over the petal, because we would have shadow cast in that area. I'm going to actually grab some of the yellow we've been using. Mix it out. Might be too bright. Yeah, that's a little bright. But I'm going to mix it out. Mix it into the color like that. Just kind of let them blend on the paper. As you can see, I'm not doing too much mixing on the palette. Just kind of letting the paper, the colors blend on the paper and do their thing. And I am adding some darker value up throughout the leaf because it helps with the scribing. So now I'll do the same thing. I'm just going to follow the pre-drawn line that's already on the leaf. But you can see that beautiful saturation that comes from doing this. Just carry it on down. Alright. Do it on the other side here. Now I'm really not being too precise, because whether I hit the pre-drawn line or not, it's still going to give me the effect I want. And the pre-drawn line would just be another little vein in it. there. It's pretty cool. What do you guys think? Let me know. Let's go ahead and hit this leaf up. See if we can get the bigger ones that are attached to it. And then I'm going to go in and do the center of that flower. And then we're going to start adding some more depth to it. And yes, we will be swinging back around to the leaves as well. Here is my tissue. I got a little paint on my hand and I don't want to drag it across the rest of my clean white page. Just going to wipe off there. Now, if you guys jumping in at this point, once this video renders and you can go back and watch it, be sure to check out the beginning of the live because I showed some really cool products that have been gifted to the studio by some of you wonderful viewers that are going to be coming up, being used and coming up on the channel. So you guys be sure to go back and check that out because I don't want to move backwards at this point. I want to try to get as much of this painted with you guys in the hour I had planned to spend on live, which we are almost at that point. We're almost at that point. Let's go ahead and even pick up a little of that color over there because it looks a little darker. And all of this is really watery, so there is going to definitely be a shift. As you can see, when it dries, there's going to be a shift. Okay. Let's get that in there well. I think that's enough. Drag it out to the end of the leaf there, and then making sure my hand is clean, I will go in and do those things. Okay. Now, I've been using this little credit card technique for years, but it is not my original idea. I never take credit for anybody's work. I picked this little tip up about 4 years ago from Lindsay the Frugal Crafter. And I have incorporated it into my painting style ever since. I'm going to go in and wet the middle so we can start working on it. And I want to start with dropping it. And I'm going in much more intense with the yellow here. And I'm just going to drag that color out and around. And earlier I said I was going to mix an orange, but this paper dries so fast. I'm actually just going to grab this pre-made orange here and see what we can do with that. Let's see. All up in here in these areas. And like I said, this will have a color shift. So it's not going to be something I have to worry about too much. And I will go in with a much darker orange. In order to shadow things. I'm just trying to get the general placement of this bulb. This general placement of it. And can you see how light this getting already? Like it's starting to shift already. So definitely due to the fact that it is, a really watery wash, number one. And number two, the paper type in this book. Now, I am not one to encourage people to run off or copy things out of books. The little painting that I showed you that came out of this book earlier, the only reason it's printed is because you're able to get that one from her actual Facebook page and print it. If by chance you should use a book that's illustrated like this in order to paint, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with drawing it out of there. There's nothing wrong with maybe tracing the image that you see, as long as you're doing the work inside your studio or for personal use. I'm never one to agree with, without proper permission of anybody, reproducing work that someone else has created in order to sell. I think that is just terrible, terrible business. Especially now, if you have permission, go for it. Like for instance, Lindsay, the frugal crafter, when she does a lot of her tutorials and a lot of her videos, she actually encourages people, go ahead, use it to teach with. I don't care if you share it. I don't care if you use it on your projects that you may be selling. And and she'll say that in a lot of her videos, but I still think that rule of thumb should be that if you're selling it, it should be your original work. If it's something that is a spin-off of somebody else's work, you should have the respect and the God. Well, no, the respect, hands down, the respect and the upbringing to actually reach out to that person and obtain permission before you decide to do it. Check out some of the comments right quick. How is the paper holding up? Is there any peels of the paper? So the paper so far is holding up okay. No, there isn't any peeling. And do keep in mind that I'm using the credit card scraper in the actual leaf area, and that is not peeling the paper in any shape, form, or fashion. Now I have just put down a few watery layers here. I haven't done any heavy glazing. I haven't tried to lift anything as of yet. So, excuse me. So far, so good. The only thing I don't think I'm just all that crazy about is the fact that it's a hot press paper and it's a little bit outside my comfort zone. But that's one of the main reasons I wanted to do it. So um, yeah, so far so good. Let's jump into doing this leaf here. I'm just really trying to get as much of the page covered with some color at this point, because of course what I tend to do is lay down all of my first layers and then go back and start building in on top of that. Um, a lot of people love the solely wet into wet method, where everything is done in that first wash and you kind of get all your colors and your glazing down. There are some times when I will employ that method, but on a regular basis I am more of a layered type painter. um, I'm one of those people who will paint so much, I'll put it down, I will walk away from it, I will give my eyes time to breathe, take a break, and then come back to it to see if there's anything I want to change, or anything I want to do to it before I move forward or move on with the next part of it. So I want to grab some of that orange and drop it in there. I want to see how this is going to work. Since we're using that orange in the, oh, that's so powerful. The paints are so bright and vibrant. Oh, they're so bright. It's so bright. I really should have added maybe some purple to that. Mix it with a little purple to kind of desaturate it. But it is what it is. It's on the paper now. So we are going to roll with that. I really want more saturation in that color. Let's see, what is this? That's phthalo blue. Okay, that's ultramarine. Grab some ultramarine and mix it with this more olivey color. That way I can get a darker hue. Drop a little of that in there. And that's actually going to be the dark that we use mainly. I will be going back and glazing that color in on top of other leaves as the painting progresses. So I'm saying painting is truly like a coloring, not really a painting. I guess you can say it's a painting. I'm painting. What do you think? How do you guys look at projects like this? Do you consider it painting, guys? Jump in the comment section. Let me know. Do you consider it coloring? What do you consider it? Let's see. I'll be honest though. since I started, since I befriended Christy, since I have start playing around with paint crush products, I've never painted so many flowers in my life. And that's not to say that you have to paint flowers. I've just been doing it. Now you guys may have seen this. This was posted on my Instagram. This is actually one of the little flower design pages that I made and did with her paint crush set. I was sitting down in front of the TV one day, and most of the illustrations that I've done with the paint crush set, I actually used it for things like still life and landscapes because I wanted to test it outside of the ramifications that most people would take the palette to be for, simply because Christy paints so many wonderful florals. I felt like people just automatically took the palette to be something that target floral painters or people that paint like these loose watercolor flowers all the time. So I was, pardon my French, hell bent as I went into the field testing and the testing for those paints to paint any and everything but a flower. Okay. So then, I'm sitting on the couch. We're watching, I think it was The Amazing Race. And they were in India. And one of the art pieces that I saw in the background had this beautiful flower on it. So I just grabbed some watercolor paper and a pencil and started drawing. And before I knew it, this is what I had. So I said, okay, well, let me grab Christie's paints and paint this and see what happens and what becomes of it. And let's be clear, regardless of how you may feel, those paints look good right there. They do. That's not a toot of my horn. I'm talking about the paints and the way they performed. That turned out nice. And let's just be real. Those paints turned out really nice there. The more I play with that palette, the more things about it I discover I like. It is actually a really good mixing palette. Now, I'm not going to say too much. I'm really, really not. Because I have the review for those paints coming up this Wednesday of next week. And I don't want to spoil anything. I think that review is actually going to make some people happy. And it's probably going to make some people mad. But if you know me and you know my personality, I don't really care. I'm going to tell the 100% honest truth about a product because I feel like I owe that to the people who are trusting my opinion. So I don't care if a million people like it and and others hate it. I don't care if a million people hate it and a few like it. I'm going to always give the most honest review on a product from my painting style and perspective. No shame, no nothing, no shade towards a manufacturer or a painter or influence. But how can influencer, excuse me? But how can you keep coming to me looking for an honest opinion, an honest review, if you know I'm going to waver on, my stance and my 10 toes down in telling the truth simply because I may like or dislike a person or a company that's producing? That's never going to happen here. Ever, 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 ever. Ever. All right. Let me see. What else? It is. I agree. It's definitely painting without the pressure of drawing. I'm checking the comments right quick before I jump back in. Um, I like the book so far. Okay, still a bit too busy for me. There's two of some watercolor books with simple pages that you can paint in one quick sitting. I prefer that, and I get that, and I get that. This is a um Christie's design style. is pattern based, in my opinion. You know, a lot of her drawings are like these pattern pages, designs that are going to span across and cover an entire page, and it does give you a lot of things to concentrate on in color. Now, for a detail oriented person like myself, I find that enjoyable. However, um, as you can see from what we're doing now, it's not like a quick sitting type thing. I was not about to blow through this painting in one sitting. It just wasn't going to happen. Not unless I plan on keeping you guys on live all day. And as much as I love y'all, and as much as I would love to hang out with you all day long, I got other content to create, including a Patreon live coming up tonight at 8 p.m. So if you're a part of the Patreon community, do be sure to stop in and check it out. That sip and see that I was telling you guys about that's going to be taking place tonight. If you're not part of the Patreon community, get ready for this shameless plug because I don't mind. Do consider becoming a member. It is only $2 a month, and you are going to get some really cool things. You'll get traceables for the more complicated paintings that we do on YouTube. You're going to get one real time uninterrupted live, not live, real time painting tutorial a month. And now, since Friday videos have been removed from YouTube, those Patreon subscribers are also getting one live a week. So there's a lot that you get in that for $2. And all Patreon proceeds go right back into the channel. I buy art supplies that I let you guys pick with that money. So it's I think it's pretty cool. And considering the price of some other people's Patreons, considering what you get with it, I think $2 for all of it isn't bad. But hey, they're my products, so maybe I'm just a little biased. Let's see. It's painting now. Pastel people always say painting. That's interesting. Yeah, pastel people who use pastels do say painting. And I'll be honest, when I'm doing my oil pastel paintings, I use the term painting instead of illustrating or drawing. Well, sometimes I use the term illustrating because I understand that partially that's what it is, and I'm kind of trying to be technically correct. But the word painting, I have noticed, has become all encompassing for art, period. Even pencil illustrators use the word painting, I've heard. So it's really interesting that that word is just kind of becoming universal for any type of creation done with the art medium. I think it's painting without the pressure of drawing. Yeah, this type of book, definitely. This type of book is definitely painting without the pressure of drawing. You can just jump right in, do a little work, throw it to the side, let it dry, pick it up whenever you want to, do a little bit more on it. Like I said, kind of referring back to the very first piece I did out of this book, which is here. Now, I started this on a Patreon live. Did not finish it on the live. I finished it after I turned on off the live, and then I went back and posted the finished work for Patreon community to see. And this was done with the Mission Gold watercolors, which happens to be my absolute favorite professional palette. Okay, and I'm gonna keep saying this until I drop the Shinhan PWC review. But Shinhan PWC, yeah. Um, as far as I'm concerned, is like running a real close hurdle race with Mission Gold for me. But anyway, I digress on it. And then I also used some the fountain pens. Do you guys remember the water soluble fountain pens that we did the globes with a couple of videos back? You may want to go check that out. It was such a fun little painting illustration to do. So I used those pens in here. That's actually what I used to color the flowers because they were white. And in her illustration, her example, the background is colored black, and I wanted to leave the background white. So instead, I brought the color into the flowers. It was cool. And I mean, like I started it on live, and Wasn't able to finish it. Gave it time to dry. A couple of days later, went back and picked it up and well, no, actually a couple of hours later, went back, picked it up and finished it. So it's really cool for that aspect. Let's see. I might be in a conference section, but I'll try to go. Oh, for the Patreon tonight? Yeah. Tisa, if you can make it, come on, I welcome you to any and everything I do. But if not, then you can definitely catch it in syndication. You can always go back and watch it. Um, and see what we talked about. I actually talked about you earlier in this video, because I shared with um, the community the different things that I have received here in the studio as gifts from wonderful, wonderful, wonderful viewers like yourself and Art Nerd. Um, and I will remind anybody that's just jumping in, if you didn't see that, once this video drops in replay, do go back and check out the very first part of this video so you can see those things that came into the studio that we are going to be testing and reviewing in some upcoming videos. I want to change some stuff up. I like the way that orange look dry down into that leaf. I didn't think I was going to, but once it dried on the paper, it didn't look too bad at all. So I'm going to do that again right here. This brush holds quite a bit of water. And every time I rinse my brush, I'm bringing over more water that I don't really want to. I love these brushes. All right. So I want to mix up a little dark there. Ooh, nice. Oh, I love these paints. I'm a paint fanatic, though. You probably hear me say I love a lot of paints. And I actually mean it every single time I say it. Let's see. Can I get... Now, when my water is puddling like that, and I know I'm going to use a credit card scraper, I don't really worry about it, because as I make those lines, the paint is going to seep down into them. And real quick, too much water becomes just enough or not enough sometimes. It's going to be interesting to see how this one dries. I don't know if I like that one. We'll see. We'll see. That said, about it being busy, I also love to cover my entire pages when I paint. So I go to the simple ones maybe to test my comfort zone, not because I don't like whole pages myself. I get that. I do. I mean, I do those little really quick paintings. So I get it. I do. To get warmed up for a day of painting, I will show you guys the traceable that's going to be available for um, Christy's paint palette review. So here's the traceable. So if you're a Patreon member, next Wednesday you will have access to this traceable so that you can paint along if you want to, or go back and paint. I just happened to see that sitting there, so I grabbed it. I thought about it. I'm a little sporadic on my thinking, guys. My mind be all over the place sometimes, so you have to look over that. Okay, let's see if we can go in here and start adding some depth to the main flower, because we've been on a little over an hour now, and I do need to go and prepare for our little sip and see tonight. I can't wait. Come with your favorite brand of coffee, and we are going to take some time to flip through my one of my art binders that finally filled up. Is going to have paintings in it that cover most of, loose paintings that cover most of 2023, all the way up until this point in 2024. And here's what that looks like. It is just a binder that I upcycled into by putting some coffee on the front, because I love to have me a cup of coffee while I'm painting. And that's where the idea for the title for tonight's live, Sip and See, came from. So Bring your hot espressos, your hot tea, your hot lattes, your hot regular coffee, and come and join me as we flip through that big old binder. And hopefully, it's going to give you some inspiration based on the things that I've painted. All right, where are we? We are definitely more than an hour in. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys how I'm going to be doing some shadowing. Um, and the next live we do, we're going to reduce the painting size. That way we can make sure we get an entire painting done in one go. Okay, friends? Hopefully that sounds okay to you. I'm mixing that lemon yellow with the orange that I had been using. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of, what is this? I think this is like a scarlet. Oh, that brush holds so much water. And I'm going to mix that in just a little bit to give it a little bit. I want to desaturate it a little bit. Take a little bit of that neoniness out of it. And then we're going to go in and start adding some, let's see. This flower is turned upside down for me. So I need to start here. And we will just kind of strip there. I'm just kind of following along with what's on her side of the page here. And that's how I'm going to be tackling this. Beautiful, beautiful colors. I love this paint. It's so nice. And I will be kind of doing, how they say, doing it my way. Usher said, I like it my way. Let's see. Let me get some down here. And I know that's not on her page, but I'm going to do that middle stripe orange anyway. It just feels like it should be. Okay. Let's mix up a lot more of that color because I'm going to need it. You see how bright that orange is? That orange is so bright. So, so bright. And I'm only mixing the yellow into it to keep color harmony. Let's add a little water to that. Keep as much of it on my palette as I can. And then I'm going to rinse my brush, dab it off just a little bit, and then pick up ultramarine so I'm not adding too much water to it. Whoa. That's wrong. Color mix fail. Let's try it again. You guys ever done that? Oh my god, that green is actually pretty though. My goodness. I have to make that mistake again. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have sopped that up. I hate I did that. See, mistakes are not mistakes. I tell people that all the time. You can get some of the most amazing accidents turn into some of the most amazing painting, beautiful moments. See, that's what happens when you move too fast. All right. Now what I want to do is let's try this again. A lot less ultramarine. Desaturated it fast. It turned it brown fast. See if we can bring it back to there we go. Not quite the same brown. I'm sorry, same orange, but the different shading will be just fine. Let's see. I am again painting upside down. So 1, 2, 3, and this one would be here. Okay. And I love when she does the little chops on her leaves. I think that is so cute. And then there's this one, which the side closest to the chops is basically here we go. And then down here in this little corner of the world, we have a little on this side of the leaf. We have a little that's coming up through here. A little on that side of this leaf, and I'm going to actually exaggerate that more than it is on hers, just because I like the way that look. And then there is definitely some coming here, and I made this point that sort of looks better. And then the leaf, let me see, this entire leaf is a bad boy. And now what I will say about this paper is I can understand why she used some untraditional maybe products, like the brush pens. I know on the on the project that I did for Patreon, she used what was it? Oh, what did she use? Um, I used Mission Gold, but she used dye-based inks, and I'm starting to understand, simply because you know this paper probably takes mediums of a dye-based brightness a little better. Watercolors do tend to do seem like they tend to desaturate just a little bit on this paper. I mean, that doesn't make it a bad paper. I mean, it's the quality of the paper is what it is. Let's see. And then we got down like so on that side. And then, maybe there is like watered down wash it inside because it's cupped over. Why not, right? It's cupped over. And if you want to bring it a little bit more back towards the yellow side, just grab some yellow and mix it in. But it's still going to give it that orange hue, so it'll be darker on that side. Let's see. Then this little leaf has a lot of that orange on it. Let's see, up the middle going like that. And it actually kind of tapers off here. And then there is the opposite side, which has pretty much the same thing. I'll have to mix more of that color in a second. Then there's a thicker bead going up like that. Oh, I hear people are home in my house. I hear music playing. That music is playing. It's time for me to go greet my better half, who is now home from work, evidently. Let's see, where else? I don't really see much more orange surrounding. I'm going to surround the entire flower just a little bit with it. See if we can blend it out a little bit so it doesn't look too harsh. Same thing over here. Just going to kind of blend up into the yellow so nothing looks harsh. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to kind of go around that flower. I'll block my brush, and then I'll just kind of blend up into the leaves. Just so this hot press paper will definitely leave harder lines quicker than a soft press paper will. No doubt about that. But it's still not bad. It's still not bad at all. Right? And I'm gonna blot and just kind of drag up on the end. And never be scared to pick up more color if you need to. Just blend it up. And if the water runs out, you can even do a little dry brushing. I'm really just trying to blend in the colors. Make sure that, okay. Let's mix up more of this. And definitely add water to that. Oh, excuse me. Now I mixed ultramarine, which is not the color I originally used. I originally used that scarlet, which is why the color changed so drastically once the ultramarine went into it. But I do want that same depth that I had with the ultramarine. It was really pretty. So I'm just going to add a very teeny smidget of a touch. And if it goes too brown for me, then I just add another touch of orange until I get it balanced back out the way I want it. Like so. That same color, it looks a little bit browner, so I'm going to add just a little bit more orange to it. Maybe just a little bit more water. Kind of thin it out. Trying to keep the colors consistent. That's about the same. We'll work with it. And now I'm just going to fill in those oranger areas on the inside that we were working with earlier. That I said more than likely I'm going to have to come back and enhance the saturation in them. Just kind of trying to get that in between those pebbles. Like so. And then right around where they would be laying on top of each other. Now, this area honestly is a little, these flowers have clusters right in the center, so it can be a little hard to depict. But I don't think that's bad. It's a little different from hers, but not bad. And I'm just adding more saturated color in. Less water on my brush at this point. And it's really easy to do because at this point, all I'm doing is striping with a darker color what I've already painted. That's all I'm doing at this point. And it's gonna let the original that I put down act as more like a secondary shadow. Okay. Add a little bit more oomph and off to the painting. That's it. Alright guys, I think you get the point. I think you get where we're going. I think you get the concept of today's video, which was to take something already drawn and just start from there. It's a wonderful jumping off point to get you in the mood for painting right before you get started with a day of creation. So far, so good. So far, so good with this book, honestly. I'm not the most super impressed with the paper, but that's not a product thing. That's a me thing. That's a me needing to get used to hot press paper more type of thing. Because the only time I ever paint on paper of this sort is sort of like when I'm doing my card creations. So it's definitely more of a Ken needs to get over thing than a problem with the book. But if you are a hot press paper person, you may actually love this. Like for real. I just feel like it should be something right there. I don't know why. I mean, it's not on hers, but I just feel like it should be. So I'm gonna put it in there too. It just feels right. And that's a great thing about this stuff. Take liberty, do you? Completely do you with this. Don't. There's no rules. I'm so over people just being scared to paint because of rules that they hear being imposed. Listen, as long as you are having fun, like seriously, because everybody's not trying to turn painting into a career. Just myself and a few other people. Um, some people are just painting to paint. Some people are just painting because it's fun. You know. Um, and I think they get discouraged or maybe run off sometimes by all of the what you can and what you can't do and what you should and what you shouldn't do and how you should say it and how you shouldn't listen. Have fun. Do you? I'm a nerd. I like pigment numbers. I like knowing light fastness. I like knowing how pigments work together. I want to be able to paint by knowing the pigment numbers versus having to look at the name of a color. But guess what? Everybody's not like that, and that's okay. You may not care a flying monkey about pigment numbers. That doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't at all. It just means you have a different taste than I do about your art. So the only thing I can hope, you see how green they got real quick? I picked up so much blue. So my only hope can be that in that matter, I say something based on the way I do things that'll actually benefit you. I'm gonna continue to say this. I'm not trying to push. I almost push this in every video. There is room at the artist table for all types of artists. There should not be any gatekeeping at all. No one is absolutely right. Are there technicalities to painting? Of course they are. Do you benefit and do you learn more from learning those technicalities? Of course you do. Do you have to know them in order to start learning and to paint? Absolutely not. And don't you ever let anybody tell you otherwise. And I don't mind catching the heat for the stuff I say. My 5 pellets under $20 from Amazon video kind of got me some flack from some people. And I still stand 10 toes down in every single thing that I said in that video. My video about pigment numbers being important but not being mandatory also got me some flack. But guess what? I stand 10 toes down in what I said about that. Pigment numbers are an extremely important part of learning. However, they are not mandatory in order for you to take a set of paints and to play around and have fun. They're just not. Now, I do encourage the learning of pigment numbers, definitely. I encourage that wholeheartedly because it will help you grow as an artist. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But I don't think how I want that to run. I guess like that. I don't think that um, the set of paints that you're using have to have light fast and pigment information on it in order for you to use them and paint a good paint. However, the nerd in me wants to know. Inquiring minds want to know. All right. I've added way more orange to that than she did, and I like it. I don't know. No one should be a gatekeeper of creativity. Baby, we need that money. We need that on a t-shirt. We need that on a, I need to be selling merch that says that, seriously. Because it is some people who really do not get that. It is some people who really do not get that. And it is some people that think that only artists who paint like them or agree with them are real artists. So let me get this right. We have to all agree. If that's the case, then why do we have all these different products? We don't need to agree. If that's the case, we can just take one person's word for it and go from there. I mean, it doesn't. It makes absolutely no rational sense to me. But like, who am I, right? Who am I? So and now, and that's not to say that I haven't learned from people I consider gatekeepers, because I have. I really have. I just and I take from that what I can, what'll benefit me, and then I move on to the next artist and take something from that that'll benefit me. See, I don't have any technical quote unquote art training. Um, those who know my story know that I'm a fashion designer. That's where I got started. My experience level in watercolors up until maybe 5 years ago was just a matter of doing fashion sketches with it. But fine art, nah. And then one day the bug bit me, and here we are. 5 years later, here we are, and I love every minute of it. I wouldn't trade 1 second of any of my experience, any of the people I've learned from, whether you consider them professional or not. Okay, guys. I think this is as far as I'm going to take it today. I think you have a really good general idea and general basis of where I'm going to be going to finish this. Now, I don't know if I'm going to finish this in another live, because we got a lot to do with the leaves and all that type of stuff. I don't know if I'm going to finish it in another live or if I'm going to kind of finish it in a video and then post it to the channel. But either way, there will be like something coming, and I'm definitely going to be adding some more saturation into my yellow layers. I'm trying to keep as much of the white as I can. I actually like the way this is going so far, if the truth be told. I like it a lot better than I thought I would, considering it's a hot press paper. So the jury is out right now on my continued belief that I don't like hot press paper, because this may be changing my mind. I'm going to see how it handles some additional layers, especially in the leaves in this main area. Um, I really want to show you guys how I finish this up. We just don't have time today. So do keep an eye out for it coming up. I'm going to check the comments real quick before I say goodbye to see where we are. Um, People come to care about light fastness after the fact when something sentimental fades. My brother's painting he made during the rough 2020 times, I treasure and guard forever. A painting I did 10 years ago has almost lost its red, so I protect my family stuff. Oh, I get that. I get that. And like I was saying earlier, light fastness matters to me a lot. Pigment numbers matter to me a lot. But I don't diss a paint set that doesn't offer that information. And then too, I think that when we teach about light fastness, we should teach the complete story. The light fastness in protecting a painting doesn't start and stop with the information printed on the box. Because let's be clear, the information printed on a box from a company is not always forthcoming and true. Want to talk about Daniel Smith? I mean, there are big name companies out there who put certain things on the box and on the label, And just because it's printed there doesn't mean it's true. Now, do I want that relevant information to try to make the best educated judgment that I can? Absolutely, I do. But I think when we teach about light fastness, we need to teach the whole truth that although that information is there, sometimes you do have reason to be skeptical of it. Number two, outside of that information being printed, there are steps beyond just the light fast information on a box or relevant to the paint set that you can take to help protect your work. And you hear many artists suggest this. Lindsay, Christy, myself, Marty Owens from over at Owens Art, Steve from Art Gear Guide, Emma LaFave from over at Emma LaFave Studio, Gene Rainey. There are a lot of artists that I can directly link back to making this quote, and that's you have to have a little due diligence, protecting your painting under matte, under glass, and in my case, I recommend UV glass because that UV glass is going to help stop the deterioration of your colors from a light fast and from a non-light fast paint. Um, I suggest things like sealing your work with um, a sealer, a finisher that's also going to help protect the work from fading, from light fast damage, from oils on your hand. Let me see. I think I have it. I'm gonna reach and show you guys this real quick. One of my favorite sealers or varnishes is Krylon. This is a wonderful sealer, and I literally have images that I have painted with like Crayola, images that I've painted with Aim High, images that I've painted with like Artist Loft that has been sealed with this sealer that still holds its luminosity to this very day. So I just think that when we have the light fast conversation, we need to be sure that we're having it beyond just what's printed on the box or what's printed in the pamphlet or what's printed on the website. It's a totally encompassing conversation that I feel like we should touch on all points for, because for some people, Tisa, like you and I, we want that information printed on the box. We want that information printed in the palette. I mean, in the pamphlet. We want to be able to reference it to the site. We want to be able to use sites like maybe handprint.com or Art is Creation in order to cross-reference those pigments to see what the age-old standard light fast testings may have been, you know. And for painters like us, that matters. But then there are those painters that protecting it under UV glass is going to be enough because they realize that that matte and that UV glass is going to offer just as much protection as something that may have a light fast information on it. And let's be clear, light fast testing is done under museum conditions. None of us that lives a regular life, walking in a regular lifestyle, is really protecting even every piece of artwork we have under or presenting it under museum conditions. Most of it ends up in sketchbooks. Most of it ends up on individual pieces of paper. They end up in binders or folders in order to keep it protected. Sometimes it ends up like painting a greeting card. And I'll be honest, if I'm painting a hand painting greeting card and I send it to you, I don't expect you to keep it 5, 10 years, let alone 25, 30, 40, 50, or beyond the time that I'm dead. My thought pattern is, hell, in the next 2 to 3 months, you've probably re-gifted it and given it to somebody else. So the joy I wanted it to present to you at the time that I painted has happened and moved on. So light fastness is important. I just think it's really important that we have the entire conversation about it. A lot of products get really bad flack for not having what a lot of artists consider age-old proof stamp light fastness on it. When again I bring up the Daniel Smith incident, we will have companies that are gold star painting companies that are literally misrepresenting the information that they present to us. So, you know, it's a twofold thing. We have to kind of walk the middle of that road and realize that there are great art products all around us. In reference to protecting your family stuff, though, that I get. I mean, when you start talking about heirlooms and family sketchbooks and family scrapbooks and artwork that is simple, sentimental, that's been handed down from a sibling or a parent or somebody in your family, I completely understand wanting to make sure that um, type of work or that type of thing is protected. Um, just it boils down to individual want and belief. And I'm actually glad this conversation is coming up. And then I promise I'm going to jump off here. I'm glad this conversation is coming up simply because I am about to get ready to review Christie's palette on this upcoming Wednesday. And let's be clear. Let's just be honest and open and clear. Y'all know that's how I am. That palette has caught a lot of flack from a lot of people. Here's the thing. If that is those people's honest opinions, I think they should be able to share it. I remember when Lindsay dropped her review on the Art for Joy's Sake palette. And the way the people were in the comment section literally tearing Lindsay down because of her opinion. And that's what I didn't get. I didn't get, okay, so here is this age old, and I'm saying age old just for dramatic effect, but here is this seasoned professional artist that has literally built her career, an entire YouTube content universe around teaching art and thoroughly and meticulously reviewing art products. She got a product, she tested it, and she did what she has always done. Gave her 100% honest opinion about it. And the comments that I was reading blew my mind. Okay, if you don't agree with it, then you move on. If she said something that wasn't for you, then you take it with a grain of salt and you go, oh, well, she didn't like that, but I like this about this palette. But it don't mean that everything she's saying about the palette is just a no-go simply because she said one thing that one person didn't like. And y'all know me, I'm real. I'm a I'm real. When I'm just it's just a warning, a prerequisite. It's a warning. Come respectfully in my comment section. If I say something that you don't like, you are allowed to disagree with me. You are allowed to disagree with me, and you are allowed to voice your opinion. What irks me are people who don't watch the whole video, people who don't know because they've only watched 30 seconds, heard something you didn't like, jumped in your comment section, wrote an entire monologue when literally 30 seconds after that you gave a different side of an opinion or a different side of the spectrum. But that person latched on to that 30 seconds that they didn't like, and now here they are literally creating a catastrophe in your comment section because of it. That type of stuff is not gonna fly on my channel. I am so respectful. I try to be so inclusive of everybody, taking everybody's opinion and the way they paint and thought process into consideration, especially when I do my reviews, which is why you will hear me say, well, this pattern might not work for this person or for so and so, but it might work for so and so. I'm always trying to give two sides of every coin because there are more painters out there than just people who paint like me or who believe what I believe. So, yeah, I just think that is so crazy. Even Emma received a little flack in her comment section based on some stuff she said. Becca Hillborn um, reviewed the palette based on a comic artist perspective, and she caught flack. And what I'm not understanding is every artist supposed to agree outdoor painting, plein air painting, still lives. I don't do portraits. I don't do a lot of animals. I do a lot of stuff outside in nature, or painting stuff from nature, or a lot of things that I set up and take pictures of. I started out doing really detailed and meticulous florals. So in that aspect, I do flower paintings. But I'm not really a loose flower artist. So I'm not going to look at a palette or a product from the loose flower artist perspective. I'm going to look at it from the perspective of a person that does still lives and landscapes. Where on the flip side of that coin, Becca is a comic book artist. So she has a completely different realm of experience, and she's going to be looking at it from that realm. So maybe this particular product didn't work for that particular realm of painting. Maybe it does work for floral. Maybe it does work for landscapes. Maybe it doesn't work for portraits. Maybe it does work for animals. See, I hope you guys get the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is that the world of art is so wide open and subjective depending on the artist, their experience, and where they're coming from with their painting style. So please stop jumping on these content creators' channels, giving them all this hoo ha because they said something you didn't agree with. If you didn't agree with that particular point, keep listening because you may actually agree with the very next thing that they say. But to get into a person's comment section and to start being rude and tearing them down because they said something you didn't like, nah, I'm good on that. And I'm going to always stand my ground. I'm never trying to be rude, but you can expect pushback from me if you get in my comment section being rude. I mean, I'm a 44-year-old grown man that has been taught the utmost respect for other people. And because I'm going to offer the utmost respect for other people, I'm not going to accept anything less for myself. All right, guys, let me jump in this comment section. Again, I really am getting off. Let's see. The one lady that does pencil stuff, the entangles save her life. I can't stand the entangles, but I'm grateful they exist to help. Exactly, T. So that's exactly what I'm saying. And here's the thing: I'm not a Zentangle person either, but I was watching. Who was it? Treasure Books, Natasha, because you guys know I do junk journals and art journals. So I was watching one of Natasha videos, and she was doing these journals where she was making like rainbow journals, and she was doing these rainbows on the front of other journals. She was cutting them out of pattern paper, and once she got the rainbows built, she pulled out a Zentangle book, and she was showing how, although that's not her normal style of design, she was able to take elements from that book and include it in what she was doing with designing her covers. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we all have room to learn or pick up on something, or just it, appreciate something outside of the way that we do things. And I think that if all artists approached art creation and each other that way, then we would have a much more loving and supporting art community. I mean, because for all intents purposes, excuse me, for the most part, the art community is really loving. But there is that other side of it. And we've all seen it. We've all seen it. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This is dry. Yeah, this is dry. I actually could keep painting, but I'm going to let you guys go. Do keep a check on the channel. Maybe you'll post in the community tab. If you follow me on Instagram, you can check Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, go follow me on Instagram because there's a lot of things that go on over there that do not go on over here, just so you'll know. Um, and I really enjoyed you hanging out. I really enjoyed those people that jumped in the chat and contributed to the art conversation today. Go out, have fun, enjoy your weekend, paint something every day, and remember, as I always tell you, my loving dear friends, just keep creating.